All right, guys, welcome
Sure
to the
did.
Dreamland podcast. Today we have Shears and Dark Gentleman with me today. We will
Hey
be
everyone.
discussing the Waterfall format. I have no idea what it's like. I wasn't doing much research on my end, so I'm hoping these two can not only answer what the format is, but also tell me a little bit more about it, why it's beneficial, and what it can do to help our community. So, with that, I think I will leave it to Shears.
Sorry, one sec. Okay, so we're gonna be discussing Waterfall Tournament. Sorry, I was like totally off guard. I was in the middle of having to deal with other messages. I got like a million people messaging me about. Let's go. Okay, so Waterfall. We did it for Keystones. We're going to be doing it again for Let's Go. It's something the 64 leagues put together. We talked about it extensively, and me and Dark Gentleman really pushed for it. We got the rest of the league involved. Got a lot of feedback. And we went forward with a Keystone. It had universal acclaim from every single player that was part of it. A lot of the viewers liked it too because they had way more interesting sets. Everybody from the top players to the bottom players found it to be just a way better experience. And that was kind of our debut of the format, and its success has really forced us to push it at Let's Go and try to really push it to other majors. Smash and Splash is doing it as well. They really were excited with the feedback they got. They thought it was an awesome idea. So they're going to be doing it as well. So a lot of people have been asking, what is WTF? That stands for Waterfall Tournament Format. And they want to know not just what it stands for, but how is that different than Double Elimination? There's a lot of different keys here.
Why
For
do
the
we
most
need
part, and why do we need to go? Okay, so okay, well, what is it? What's different about it? Why is it different? And why does that matter? Why do we care? Double eliminations are working fine. Boom's been winning. He's the best player. People have been doing well. People have been going to tournaments. They're successful. Why change something that works? It's just because something works doesn't mean it's the best. And this is an improvement on a working model to a better working model. And there's so many pieces to this. I could talk, not even kidding, probably 4 or 5 hours just about how awesome WTF is, and I can go into tons of different examples.
And one of the
All
key
these
things I
announce,
think when you're going into it, when you first start to think about this, is to realize that it actually doesn't change that much, but it just changes the key things.
So, what are those key things? Can you give us just a summary of what the key things is? Because as a newcomer, coming from somebody who has no idea what the waterfall format is, the biggest thing about going into the waterfall format is the intimidation factor. I'm a person who's been playing competitive Smash since 2006, and all I know is double elimination. And if it's a bigger tournament, I've got some round robins for seeding into double elimination. So, can you give me a summary of
Yeah,
what the different structure is?
great question. The key thing that creates waterfall and why we need it and why we have it is that in a typical tournament setting, what's happening is you have the seeds, which everyone complains about seeds. If you've been around in tournaments for that long, you know that going into every single tournament, you always have people complaining about the seeds, saying where you belong, trying to figure that out. And the reason is because your seed in a double elimination tournament is so important because it dictates who you're going to play against and if you're going to have a fair ride. People already know intuitively going in these double elimination tournaments that it's not fair. The reason is every match in a double elimination seeded tournament is made to be as uneven as possible. So in the first round, if there's 10 people in the tournament, the 1 plays the 10. So we are creating...
Technically, it'd have to be a power of 2, just so you know. So it'd be 1 plays 16. But yeah.
Yeah, but
Sure, but
either way, what it
my
does is it
point is
screws
that
over
you're
the lower
making the
player.
worst... Right, the lower player has to play the top player. And although we might be feeling oh, that is an honor to play that person, if you're actually going in there saying, I'm going to win this tournament, you need the fairest chance to win. And if you're that bottom seed, that is the most uneven match. We need to create matches that are more equal. So that's better for the game in general. So that's what starts Waterfall. And the way to do that is by creating divisions, which place people in equal skill. So that is the key difference.
I see. So,
The big thing is
if
the
I
big thing
understand
here.
correctly, Waterfall's bracket's intention is to not necessarily screw over the person who's expected to win, but rather to balance the players in
What
general
we
who
want
fight
Kind
each
of.
is...
other as
I don't
well.
like the word. I don't like the word screw over necessarily
Yeah.
because it's not like It's not like the double elimination bracket is necessarily designed to inherently screw over the bottom player. It's more so to ensure that the best players play each other at the end of the tournament. And that's naturally done by giving the worst player the hardest matchup, but it's more so giving the best players the easiest route to the finish. Like in this double elimination, somebody's going to get the easiest route. How do you decide who gets the easiest route?
Exactly.
You give it to the person who's the best.
Yeah, you
that's
rephrased that perfectly for me. That's exactly what I was kind of going.
It's not necessarily like it's not necessarily a screw over. I mean, it's, in a way, you can say it's like top player privilege, but it's not like we're like, oh yeah, conspiracy theory. Let's make sure Boom wins this. It's more so it's like, okay, who's going to get the 1 seed? Somebody earns it. I mean, just it's not flipping a coin, because then you can have like Boom Isaiah play to the round 1. We have to create this like this fair system, and the fair system of dealing with double elimination is already inherently unfair to somebody that's not the best player.
In terms of who comes out on top in the regular double elimination tournament, it's always been very fair. That's not going to change whenever a double elimination tournament gets done. The thing is, we have a swath of players who don't need to be in that match necessarily. So those players need to get to build towards getting more matches, getting more confidence, getting more skill. People need winnable divisions. That's what Waterfall creates. This chance where that person who has that prior result, such as a Boom or something, is still going to get that most fair chance for him to make it to the top, but also some type of system that makes a compromise where players at all levels have something, a stepping stone to achieve.
Yeah, and that's something I
completely agree with. Zantetsu, you've never done Waterfall. You're used to double elimination. You've done it for years. I think you're a perfect candidate to explain why WTF is better. Take your tournament at Boss Battle. At Boss Battle 2, your first match, was it first or second match in bracket, was against Boom Fan, correct?
Yeah, it was. It was. I think I was 16th seed.
Was there any thought in your mind that you'd ever be able to beat Boom Fan?
No, I went into there and just kind of.
You knew that's just. I
just played it.
in a tournament where you're only allowed to lose twice, you knew going in you only really could lose once because there was just literally you were handed an automatic loss. I mean, as far as it goes, you were basically handed an automatic loss because your seed, unluckily, or because you're unlucky, your seed gave you basically an automatic loss. And in a tournament where you can only lose twice, that automatic loss is crippling. So you get that. That's already, now you already see like there is some kind of unfairness here. But the other part is like, did you learn more from losing to Boom, or from beating marbles, or playing like a set with me or something? Like, what was more of a learning curve? I think, did you play like Dogs Johnson or?
Yeah, I played all those guys, and I mean.
So Dogs Johnson was a game 3, if I remember correctly, right? Dogs Johnson was a game 3,
it was a very close match. I was very impressed with him. But to answer your question, I learned way more from playing all of you guys than Boom. I went into Boom's game. I mean, rewatch the stream. I look like I don't care, because it's just another online friendly to me.
Sure, let me say something before you jump in. It's not just Boom though, because like Zantetsu, for you, when you play someone who maybe it's their first tournament, you are Boom.
Yes.
Like even a player like anyone on this chat,
True.
like there's people that work in a 5-stack, they don't have a chance.
I experienced that. I mean, other people experience that personally who come into my regional tournaments and everything like that.
Exactly. So
I mean, I've played plenty of people in that situation. So yeah, it's not just Boom. It's a lot of us, honestly. It's even past the top 64.
It's so much better than the player they're playing against that the learning curve is too steep for them to get anything of quality as far as improvement goes. All they learn is, wow, I'm really bad, and wow, there's people that are really good. But they don't get to see the progress track that's needed for them to get to how good that is.
Or more concisely,
and the problem is because they're not playing people that are close to their skill.
They don't get a chance to compete. They only get a chance to get beat up.
That's kind of the tweak that's happening to WTF. It still gives Boom the path of least resistance, really. He still gets the fairest way because he's earned it. He's the best player. He still gets his fair path to winning the tournament. The difference is it doesn't force these middle or lower level players to have to just have an automatic loss in a tournament they can only afford 2 losses in. They get round robins, they get multiple levels and stages of like a skill gradient, right? They start out where there's a players, so we'll do the placement pools, and then from placement pools, how you finish in your placement pool determines which division you're placed in, and then the better you finish in your placement pool, the better division you automatically qualify towards. The worse you do, the easier division you get, and in those divisions that are in the same position as you. They lost the same skilled players. They've beaten the same skilled players. And you're now in these sets, in these round robin pools of people that are all around your skill. Now you can lose that. I mean, there's nothing saying that you're guaranteed to win a set in WTF. The difference is you're going to play a volume of matches, a significant volume of matches that are winnable. Winnable doesn't mean you win them. Winnable means you had a fighter's chance to win them, and you're probably a hit away or a stock away, or you just didn't know a single matchup away from getting to the next level. While in a double elimination, you can go 0-2 and not know where the hell to begin because it's just there's so many things you did wrong, or you just play people that were just way out of your league. Here,
that's
you're always going to play people
some of
that are in your
the
league.
some of the interesting data, like from Keystone, from that first waterfall, is that you can just see how many game threes there were at that tournament. There were so many.
Unbelievable. In every division level, too. It wasn't just like game threes for Division 3. There was game threes for every piece of that bracket.
And those are important. I mean, when you look at it, these top level players who are going to these tournaments and everything and just running through, who get the top level players get the most matches to play, and these are just regular matches to them. They're just another game. But it's these lower level players we're trying to attract, and these are the guys that are going 0-2 in these traditional brackets, or the traditional, round robin double elimination kind of thing that we go for. So having more matches for these lower level players is incredibly important in order to get more people attracted to the game.
Not just getting more people attracted to the game, but raising the floor. So
Yeah.
if we want to get more future top players and more people learning this game fast to make an all-around more volatile, more competitive general community, the way to do that is by training people right and teaching people that they're just going to beat the ones that they're supposed to beat and lose to who they're supposed to beat, lose to who they're supposed to lose to, doesn't teach people to be competitive the same way. Every time you're in a tournament, you have a chance.
In karate, yep. in karate, when you first jump into karate, do you have to beat a black belt?
No, absolutely
not. To even start out? No, you level up. In chess, do you just have to play a grandmaster, or do you play people around your same ELO rating?
Same rating.
In all these other competitive environments, I mean, in football, when you're 8 years old and you're putting on pads for the first time, do you have to try to beat the New England Patriots? No, you're in the Pop Warners, whatever Warner Jr., whatever it is, right? And you've got to play people around your same developed skill level.
And we've accepted that it's otherwise in Smash, but it's wrong. Intuitively, logically, you don't play a grandmaster on your first tournament.
Smash is the only time we're seeing where like people have to compete with people that are just in a whole different skill level, and it's completely discouraging. Every other competitive environment in the world, they pool people together with people that they have a fighter's chance against. And if they can beat them, they can advance to the next level. If you can beat all these people in high school, you play in college. If you can beat people in college, you play in the pros. If you can beat the yellow belt, you can move on, and then if you can beat the black belt, you become a black belt, right? Like that's what it is. You level your way up, and that's not a thing we see in Smash. In Smash, we see this all the time. I've seen it I've been TOing. I have all these faces that come in, first timers, and half of them I never see again. Right? And Melee has the same problem. They say, how do we keep up a retention rate? We have all these people that come. We're always having to get new players. We're only getting locals, right? How do we get more retention rate? And the problem is somebody pays $500 because they have to pay a plane ticket. They have to pay for a hotel. They have to pay for registration. They pay all this money. They're a first-time player. They get to an event. They lose their first match against Boom. Next match against maybe a guy they could have had a chance against. But they lose on game 3 last night. They played 2 sets in 15 minutes. Their $500 weekend is over because they went 0-2. The tournament population goes 0-2. 75% of the tournament does not finish over 500. Doesn't get to play more than 4 sets. Max amount of sets played by 70% of the customer base is 4 total sets. At Keystone, the minimum amount played, I think, was like
11.
One or 2 players, but the minimum amount played by everybody in Division 4 or Division 3 and Division 2 was 11. The only people that could have played 9, Nine
lot of games.
sets was 75% of the tournament played 11 or more sets. 75% of the tournament played 11 or more sets. In double elimination, 75% played 4 or less. A $500 weekend is over in 15 minutes for 25% of the people that go to double elimination tournaments. They don't win. They don't just win. They just get destroyed by 2 people they never had a chance against. There were 2 auto losses. Why does that person come back? Why would they say, I'm going to pay $500 more to play a game that I never had a chance at?
They're just getting less any way you dice it.
Like these people come in. A lot of these people, they think they are gods at this game because they can beat all their friends. And it's funny. We laugh at it. Oh, look how this scrub, how bad he's going to get beat because he thinks he's so good because he beat his friends and we destroy him, right? And it's funny to us. But those are potential. They're potential friends. They're people that you can go on Discord with later on, and they get turned away not because we're like bullying them because it's funny, right? Like I don't want to use the word bullying really, but like when a scrub talks about how much they're gonna kick everyone's ass, it's always fun to beat them, and it's not that's not a bad thing, like put people in their place because if you're friendly with them, you talk to them after that, they don't care. People don't necessarily care about getting beat. They care about getting beat and just like never having a chance to even finding
out about the next steps of the game and like the advanced techniques and everything can either be highly disheartening or it can be enlightening. Like people can either be attracted to be like, dang, I really want to do this because this is my thing, or they could be like, oh, that's for nerds.
Well, and let's be honest here real quick. Let's be honest here real quick. If you go 0-2 compared to 0-11, are you going to be more willing to learn on the 0-11 or the 0-2?
That there's a learning curve here, and you probably had some really close sets. In 0-2, you could have had 2 just brutal sets, and you just think there's no point, right?
0-11. So
0-11, you get to see that there is this huge depth to the game, but you also get to see that there's a learning curve, and you're only a couple hits away from getting to the next step. You don't have right now in DE, you have to get top 8 or it's over, right?
Yeah,
you have to get top 16 or it's over. In this, you don't have. You just have to get to. You just have to go from Division 4 to Division 3.
Yeah, and
then you've already made something rewarding.
What's your chances of going 0-11 compared to 0-2? I mean, you have a higher chance of going 0-2 and 0-11. I mean, chances are you'll probably end up going,
much higher.
2-9 or something like that. So I mean, it gives you more motivation. So we've covered why it's more appealing to newcomers, which is probably one of the most important parts of this tournament format. Is if it's appealing to newcomers, then we're gonna get more newcomers. We're gonna grow the scene. But with that, there are some potential cons, which I would like to discuss next. From what it sounds like, we're playing a lot of matches. So, how much longer, usually, will these tournaments take compared to the traditional round robin and to double elimination format?
Not much longer at all. Keystone, we played a ton of matches. We played nearly, I think it was like a little bit less than what was totally played at SmashCon, which, that was a lot more for the size. Mm-hmm. But let's look at so Keystone we've had really big round robin pools. For Let's Go, our waterfall pools are a bit smaller. We're gonna have like 4 or 5 person pools. Played is going to be not as exaggerated from the number of entrants. So Let's Go, it's bigger than Pound and it's bigger than Shine, but it's not that much bigger than Pound. It's not that much bigger than Shine. I like to use this as this ballpark range.
So far,
Pound had 100. Yeah, so far. I mean, there's 2 days left for registration. It might hit like 150, but anyway, I want to say so Pound had 106 entrants. That was I think 211 sets played throughout the entire tournament. There was 2 waves of singles pools that were 2 hours apiece, so that put 4 hours of tournament play, and then there was a 3-hour top 8, so that's 7 hours of tournament play, and then there was a 3 or 4 hour, I think it was a 3-hour top 32 to top 8, right? That is a volume of 10 hours of tournament play. That's 10 hours of tournament play for 211 matches, or 11 sets, yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's Go is going to have, the original calculation was 666. We have a couple more entrants than I first projected. So we're probably closer to like 700 sets played. My guess is around 700 sets. So that's nearly 3 times more sets than Pound. And the projected length of tournament play, this doesn't include breaks. This isn't event length. This is tournament length, which event length is tournament length plus your lunch, your dinner, your other breaks, right?
Gotcha.
But the the tournament length for Let's Go is projected to be around 11 and a half to 12 hours. So that's an extra 2 hours of tournament length for an additional 500 matches.
So more bang for his buck. And let me just say,
we're getting way more bang for
his buck. Let me just say that if anyone's wondering, like, this is the guy that knows this. Like, no one has run more tournaments than Dave and than Shears, and he knows. So, like, if he thinks it's going, that is based on just the vast number of tournaments that he's run at different levels. He ran SmashCon. So it's like, for anyone worried about that, you're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. Like, this guy knows.
He is the horse, and I agree with that. Hold on, Shears. I agree with all that, but my job is to find out why, and I need a little bit more explanation because
it's because of concurrency.
10 hours.
We have our.
Hold on, let me finish asking the question just for the viewers. 10 hours, 211 sets under a traditional format. 11 hours, 700 sets over your new format. More matches and more sets in just less time. I'm just kind of, what makes that happen? Like, I mean, it's easier to say that it happens, but I want to know why it happens.
Well, I can explain one factor. Playing in divisions, like let's take placement pools in Division 3. So the lowest skill and also the placement pools. Mm-hmm. Those are happening in pools of, like, let's say 7 or 8 people, like for placement pools, that are all running concurrently, run by their own pool managers. So those basically are self-contained. It's not dependent. You're not waiting on, like, let's say, like, I have to wait to see in bracket if, like, this match is being played on stream or this is going. Everything's running concurrently. Same thing in Division 3. When you had at Keystone, we had Division 3 of 5 to 6 people, all running concurrently. All those sets running round robin are happening at the same time. So you might have 40 people playing, but it's only 5 or 6 people playing each other. So if you have enough setups, the reason that you have that many more sets for not that much additional time is because it's all in divisions, not a broad tournament across the whole field.
So everything.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to get to. Like the reason why. So I mean that's actually is the reason. To give an example of how you can see that and why, because maybe why isn't the double elimination all being run at the same time? The problem is in double elimination, if you win a tournament in winner's side, you've advanced 2 levels of what. Win one set in winners, and then you lose your next set, you've advanced 2 spots from where you would have been if you had lost that first set. So what happens is this creates a bottleneck. This creates a bottleneck into losers, where players have to sit there indefinitely waiting for the matches beforehand to finish. And the progression through winner side and through loser side is not going to be even on all sides of the bracket, right? So someone in the top half of the bracket might finish their sets a little faster than the people in the bottom half, which that creates this added on bottleneck, because now they're waiting for someone else to finish on another spot, but then their side, that same side of the losers bracket's caught up, which is now waiting on 2 levels of the winner side to finish. So then the winner side has the bottleneck here, which slows everything else down, and it creates these gaps. And in theory, that shouldn't happen, but that's not a perfect rule. The matches don't always end on the 8-minute mark. Not every match goes 2-0 or 2-0, right? It's not always a 2-0 win for the set. Some matches aren't always Falcon Dittos, right? So there's always going to be this kind of variable to the length of a match, which you scale usually on your timing. You account for that, but because of that, you get these bottlenecks, and then it's like this. The pieces start adding on, and it compounds to the length of the time that is needed to run everything. So in your loser side, somebody's waiting. They're in winner semis and they win and they lose. They go into losers quarters in the losers bracket. But losers quarters can't play until 2 people in losers 8s have played, and that losers 8s can't play until 4 people in the losers for 9th place plays, and 2 of those matches required the winners quarters, which on the other half of the bracket, if those 2 winners quarters matches haven't finished, then you have another bottleneck there.
Yeah, your bottleneck.
And that bottleneck only slows it down.
What was another con you have potentially?
So the reason why bottlenecking doesn't happen here is because of this round robin cycle. When you finish a match, win or lose in Waterfall, you always have another match to play, and it happens immediately after. At worst, because of setup counts, you have to wait 1 match length, which means you stand there, wait 5 minutes, and you play the person that you're currently watching. And it's not this question of, I play one of these 4 people, I don't know who it is, and it's going to take an hour. I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'm going to go get food, and then you've added on another 5 minutes, we're waiting for you again. And most TOs, I mean, we could throw a DQ out there, but usually they're not going to do it when you're that far in bracket, so it ends up just holding things up.
It's divisions playing concurrently.
Okay, so more.
I mean,
in short,
win
more
or
round
lose, you
robins
have an
allows
immediate
less
match.
bottlenecking. In short.
Yeah, because there's always a match to play. Always a match to play immediately after. You don't wait, because in winners or in double elimination, if you win, you play again, but you have to wait for someone else. And or if you lose, you have to wait now for 2 people, because you have to wait for the previous set to finish. In round robin, whether you win or lose, you just play the next guy you haven't played yet, and it's from anybody in the pool of people that you're with, which for you to play. So that concurrency and that tight knitting of the matches. Double elimination, when one match finishes, that's its slowest match. Round robin doesn't have that, because the second it finishes, another one starts immediately. It's like if people are familiar with the instruction pipeline for like a computer, set to be the duration of the longest instruction to finish. So if instruction finishes earlier, it has to wait the rest of that time. It doesn't just immediately start the next instruction. And that's so there's never this point where it starts another instruction before the other one finishes. So that pipeline doesn't have that problem in round robin, because when one finishes, another one immediately starts, and there is no wait till the next one finishes before we start. We don't have to wait.
What
that
about
rest
the one
of
person that could potentially be bottlenecking? What in that round robin? For example, like we have a Wizrobe. He's playing his melee and Smash 4 matches where he's in the final matches, so they're just rushing him. They're like, hey, you got to play, and he's holding up this one division. Could that one possible bottleneck make it longer than a double elimination one?
Actually, perfectly sets up another point we want to get to, and this is kind of like a 2-part. This question's gonna have this question you just asked kind of leads us into 2 answers, or answers to 2 questions, right? So that doesn't necessarily happen because the way a lot of scheduling works when we have multi-game majors is we try to schedule pools to not happen during other pools. So if Wizrobe's in 64 pools and he's also got melee pools, he'll be in a wave of 64 pools that is not the same time as his melee pools. And then once he finishes 64 pools, he goes to his melee pools. However, those things can run late and they can push things back. So this bottlenecking is never really going to happen in this case, because one advantage with waterfall pools is because everything is broken into divisions, it creates these stages. Instead of going from like top 64 to top 16 and we have 3 hours to do it, we have like 64 to 32 in a 1 hour break, and then like 32 to 16, or like 24 in a 1 hour break, whatever it is, right? So we've broken basically instead of that bracket, we have all these big chunks. We've broken it down into divisions, which allows us to have tighter scheduling. A wave only takes an hour or maybe 2 hours, instead of it taking like a 3 or 4 hour block. Like top 64 at SmashCon, I think, was a 4 or a 5 hour block.
Yeah, I got you.
That 5 hour block.
And I think
no way.
One thing we've shown, we saw it at Keystone, and I know we're going to see it at Let's Go, is that Waterfall is efficient. And like that was one of the questions before. We're going to prove it again at Let's Go. So what I'm curious about from Zantetsu is like, what else did you have that might need answering aside from the efficiency?
I want to touch on that efficiency thing. So Moosh is the event owner of Keystone. He owns the lab, which is the venue that we had to that. You can talk to Moosh if anyone wants to. You can reach out to him. He's on like Bros Calamity on Twitter or whatever. Moosh has run dozens of events. He's run Wii U events. He's run Melee events. He's run events way larger than Keystone, and he's ran them at his venue. And he will give his own testimony about his experience with Waterfall. And he said this was the most efficient event he's ever ran in his entire life.
I trust.
He's running that at his other events, not even 64 related.
He's now using Waterfall for his Wii U tournaments because he found that it was not only such an incredibly efficient format, it was also great for the players and for the spectators because of all the other pieces that it adds to it. So he's like totally in love. They're doing it with Wii U. Yeah, perfect. You can reach out to
Let's get Zantetsu's next question.
Okay. You've answered it right there, and I'm actually going to look forward to the next or for the Let's Go tournament to see how the results are, because honestly, I trust that it actually will run quicker. So my next question is, and this is the big one, is what we're going to cover is, how does it work? So just for your information, Shears, and Darkgent, if you look into our Dreamland Discord that we're running, that second image is what I'm going to be pulling up here on the stream. And we're going to look at that. I'm going to do my best to kind of hover the mouse around where Shears is talking. Shears, do your best in not throwing me off and going crazy. Kind of
To go into like the format, like
keep it
the
smooth.
breaking down. Do you have a picture to put up for the stream so they can just kind of see
Yeah, dude, check
the
this out.
demo?
Yeah, man, I've
Let
got
me
it
say
all up.
before
Now,
people look at the Excel doc that this is, if you're looking at this and you have no idea what you're talking what it is, it's the breakdown of divisions, and it shows like all where everyone goes into each different format and how many people. So when you're seeing the different colors, like you see the red highlighted, the green highlighted, those are people that are making it into those divisions. So each little bracket is its own division. So that's the first thing to know when you look at it.
I would also like to say that like this isn't the limitation of Waterfall. It's not like it has to be like this specific size with these exact numbers. This can be scaled upwards and outwards, or downwards and outwards for any bracket size. We could add in
Right,
instead of having 16
we did
placement
three
pools.
at Keystone, then we're doing 4 at
Let's go.
yeah.
So you can scale this downwards by adding in more layers of divisions. So you don't have to have 4 divisions. You could have 5, 6, 7, 8. You could shrink it too. You could have 1 or 2 or 3, right? You can also go wider. You don't necessarily need to have 16 placement pools. You could have 32 placement pools. You don't have to have 8 in Division 2. You could have 16 in Division 2. There's different advantages to going wider or longer. Longer is usually for if you have more setups. Wider is for if you have less setups and you're tighter on time. So if time is not much of an issue, you can go longer. If time is an issue and resource issue, you might want to go wider. So this can be scaled in any way, shape, or form. It's very malleable. You don't have to necessarily have things be a power of 2 either. At Keystone, we had one of the pool lengths was like 12, or the pool sizes was like 12 or something. Right? It doesn't necessarily need to be a power of 2 because you can just change the number of pools you have and the number of people advancing out to meet whatever is going to meet the demands of what bracket you want to have. So
now, let me just explain how it goes in like the most basic, like layman's way. Let's say it's your first tournament, and Shears is a little more like numbers smart, and I'm a little more storyteller style. So let me just like give you a rundown of what's going to happen when you're when you're in the bracket. So basically, let's say it's your first tournament ever. Maybe you've played with your friends, but you don't have that advanced experience. You're going to go into a placement pool, and you're going to be a low seed in that placement pool. Now, that is the first phase of the tournament. What placement pools are is a pool typically round robin where there's a mix of talent. So you might have a couple other people like you where it's their first event, and you have a couple people who are like pretty good, and then you'll have one like ultimate killer, like maybe someone from international or like a very high level person is going to be the 1 seed in that placement pool. So when that is kind of like a typical tournament when you do pools, except for you're not getting an elimination from that. What happens is based on if that top person defends their 1 seed, they're going to go straight to Division 1. The other two, the people that come in second and third in that are going to go to other divisions, such as Division 2, if it's a 4 division tournament, Division 2, 3. But everyone else who has a losing record is going to go to the lowest division. So at Keystone, that was Division 3. So let's say you lost every game in that placement pool. You're not out of the event. The next thing that you're going to be is you're going to the division that you earned based on that placement pool performance. So let's say, like I said, it's your first tournament. Maybe you won 1 game, but you lost all the rest. So you had a 1-7 record. Now you went into Division 3. Division 3 starts, which is the next level, which is the lowest level players that mostly lost during placement pools. They're going to be the next to play. So now you're in a pool of 5 to 6 people, and they're all people that lost in placement pools. Now the field is even. Now you're in a division. Now it becomes elimination. So those players that maybe like went 1-7 or something, maybe now they go like 3-2, and it's enough. And it's the top 2 players out of that Division 3 that go up. That person could actually win Division 3. Now let's say you won Division 3, that puts you in to have a chance at Division 2. When you're in Division 2, it's a mix of players that won in Division 3 earning their spot, and players that did fairly well in that placement pool and also earned their spot in the slightly higher division. So now Division 2 is going to play, and the top 2 players go to Division 1 joining those initial players who were number one in their placement pool. So the initial placement pool is what it is. Placement pool is a pretty literal definition of that. It determines what division you go to, and the lower division you go, the higher potential you have to keep going up. You can never go down. You can only go up.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know if did I get it?
That's a good point, because in like a traditional tournament, when you lose your pool, like fake boss battle, if you drown in pools, your only hope is this amateur bracket, and that's a hopeless thing because it's a consolation dead end. Once you win amateur bracket, you can't go anywhere. Here, when you lose, you go to Division 4, Division 3, whatever the lowest division is, and you're not in a dead end. You can actually level your way up and just step by step, just win that division, get to the next round, win that division, get to the next round. You don't need to jump and beat a shark. You don't have to kill the shark in your pool. You just need to swim with the fishes and be the fastest one of your school, and then get to the next round and be in the next bigger set of fishes, and just, or fish, not fishes, fish, and just get to the next round, right? Your skill is increasing on a gradient as opposed to just a hurdle you have to jump over. You only have to be as good as the people you're currently playing with, and those people are always going to be within your own skill level. When you beat all those people in your skill level, you go on to the next skill level, and they're all people that are around that skill level. They're all winnable games. None of these games are an unwinnable game. You might go 0-4, but you're going to at least go 0-4, and it's going to be 4-game threes or sets that were really close, and you had winnable sets. Losing all your sets doesn't mean they weren't winnable. And that's the biggest difference here.
And so, I want to bring up a perspective shift for the entire community, and something that people who are advanced players should be realizing too, that this isn't just about giving people more sets, it's also about us valuing performance. If someone wins Division 3, there's value in that. When previously, if someone went like 2-2 or something, or someone came like, I don't know, 65th at SmashCon or something, you're basically forgettable. Or like, even like me, like I was like 49th or something, like that's not like a notable result comparatively. Like I think it is, because, hell yeah. But we should be valuing who's the best at each level, even though no one's going to say, oh, you're as good as Mark Sanchez or something because you won your Division 3. We should still be saying, hey man, nice, that's good stuff. We should be valuing people's achievement at all levels.
Yeah.
Yes, that's like, so in a double elimination bracket, you'll have 16 people that tie for 33rd, right? You'll have 16 people that tie for 49th. The problem with that is nobody knows out of all the people they tie with who's the best, right? And this kind of doesn't necessarily like force someone to be the worst of those groups, but it allows people to earn the next title of being, I'm in that next level. I'm one of the best of the people that got 33rd, because they can say, the D4 winners, they're basically all the people that tied for, 49th, and then they win to go into the 33 rounds, right? Like, so many people finish a tournament at 33rd, right? They'll tie with 16 people at 33rd, and they'll look at their bracket and they'll say, I lost to this guy, and they look at all the other people that they tied with, and they say, I'm better than all of them, and if I had any one of those spots, I would have been 25th, because I could have beaten all the other people that got 25th other than the one guy I lost to. And they never get that opportunity ever in double elimination.
And those
Here,
are the people
they're basically
supposed to be playing. They're supposed to play those other guys that tied. They're not supposed to play the other higher guys.
So here in this waterfall, they basically, their D2 pool is basically all those people that tied for 25th and 33rd. Exactly. And then they get a win around them. So even if they lose to that one guy and they could beat everyone else, they will beat everyone else, and they'll get to prove it, and they'll get to advance. So we reward them for being the top of their tier level, right? So like, people are very familiar with being an S tier, an A tier, a B tier, a C tier, and a D tier, right? Nobody, and like you said, no one's going to say a D tier is as good as Bark Sanchez. But for players, it's like a stepping stone to say, okay, I might be D tier, but I want to be the best at D tier, and if I can do that, then I'll work on being a C tier player, right? It's a stepping stone. We don't have that in double elimination. We have. Let me bring up
an actual example from Keystone. My pool in D2, which people were calling the pool of death. You had Finio, okay? In a double elimination tournament, in Keystone, Finio beat me. He beat Star King. He beat the protagonist. He beat Jimmy Joe. He beat I forget who our other guys were, but he probably might have gotten one match against one of those players.
in a double
But in
elimination.
this, he showed he was the best out of those players.
So like let's say for example he lost
we
to
would have
Star King.
tied, you know.
Yeah, imagine like he lost to Star King in a double elimination. If he like lost to Star King, he might have been knocked out at 33rd, and then all these people got 25th, and he never had a chance to beat them because he never got a chance to play them. Here, he beat Star King. But let's pretend he didn't, right? Let's pretend he didn't beat Star King. He would have been all the other people instead of tying with them and earn that next step into that 25th place zone, right? Or like I guess in this case it was 16. He would have
Plus,
been
it even goes even further. Let's say you don't even advance. Let's say like my performance. I lost to Finio, and I lost to Protagonist, but I beat Star King and Jimmy Joe.
Protag.
So a player like me in that situation, you still have something to fight for because it's your rep. Like you want those matches. You want those competitive matches where like even if you don't advance, like you're still getting those sets against the players you want to prove yourself against.
It's all true.
Gonna be bummed out. Nobody's gonna be like, man, I lost to Boom. That was like I'm embarrassed, right? But when they lose to somebody of their same skill level, I don't want to just use the word embarrassed, but those are the matches that hit their pride, and that's the ones they take the most serious, right? Like if somebody wants to try the hardest versus Boom, but if they lose to Boom, they don't feel guilty about it. So they're not if they make a mistake, they're not gonna kill themselves over it, and they're not going to work an extra step to get better. But when they're playing someone around their skill level, they're going to work their hardest because that's the match that matters to them. That's their reputation. That's their pride. That's them getting to the next step. That's their win. That's their their medal, their achievement, their victory. That's their notable win to get on the rankings when they can beat them, right? So they don't get that in double elimination. One person gets that. Here,
So
everyone
let's
in
the
the pool
next
gets it.
question.
Well, I guess we were going to go into like the math, right? We wanted to go into the math because people can look at this. They see a bunch of numbers. They see a bunch of letters. They see a bunch of colors. They don't know what it means. Colors are good because people love cartoons.
We went through that.
We didn't go through it in detail, but
No.
I think we need like a cleaner diagram too. Like I think that what's on that is like the TO is good for TOs, but like
yeah, I mean, Jen covered it. I hovered it over my mouse and everything, and like kind of covered the general.
Okay, I didn't get to see what you were doing on stream, so I didn't get to know what everyone was looking at. But
yeah, sorry, but like no, actually, we're at 41 minutes, and I think we covered up a lot of the general. I just wanted to kind of give a general coverage on it, because Let's Go is what is it this weekend or is it next weekend?
It is not this weekend, it's the weekend after.
The weekend after? Okay. So we might follow up on that. I'm really curious to see how that goes with it being, what is it, the 7th largest now? 64 tournament? Or 64 exclusive?
I can hear what you repeat that. What did you? I can hear what you said. What was that? Repeat that.
Is it the 7th largest 64 tournament?
I think it's like 8th or 7th. I think it's like 6th or 7th in the United States. But like 8th all time because I think there's a Japanese tournament that beat it. We can actually, I don't know. So I've been talking. I haven't checked all my emails and everything yet. We can take a look right now. We've got 133 attendees, which puts it behind Genesis 3, Genesis 4, SmashCon 15, SmashCon 16, Apex 2015, and Apex 2014. So yeah, that puts it at, and I think there's a Kanto. I think it's a Kanto that might have been like 140 or something. But let's actually take a look. We can do. There's actually the wiki. I think is pretty accurate. You go largest.
Well, I'm not
Smash
necessarily
tournaments
looking
of
for
all
the
time.
exact amount. I was just kind of getting a rough idea. Basically, what I'm kind of getting at is that
let's take
after
a look.
you run this tournament, we're going to get a lot of data off this tournament, and I would like to actually do a follow-up at that point.
This will officially be the 7th largest tournament behind Super Smash Con 2015, Apex 2014, Genesis 4, Apex 2015, Genesis 3, and Super Smash Con 2016.
And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Honestly, this could hit, and I'm not like it's a little bit of a stretch because it's it's only 2 days left to register. But I have a lot of verbal commitments from people that keep saying they're going to register, they haven't done it yet. If all those verbal commits hit, and then a couple of these people that like haven't kind of on the fence, and we get those few stragglers, there's a legitimate chance that this could hit 160. Because I wouldn't be surprised if we got 27 entrants in the last 2 days.
Yeah, literally my roommate and a couple other New Yorkers are in that list.
Well,
it's 160. This could skyrocket all the way up to 5th all time, behind only Genesis 4, Genesis 3, Super Smash Con 2016, and Apex 2015. It would jump Apex 2014 and Super Smash Con 2015. And those are multi-game majors. So the big difference here, these multi-game majors, about like 60 to 70% of the entrants are just random people that are just in Melee, and they go, 64, nostalgia, fun, I'm just going to do it, and half of them get DQ'd anyway. This is 100. I mean, the 133 people. There's 133 people that are going to show up. We're going to have maybe 1 or 2 DQs at best. Starking will probably DQ himself because he's Starking. But you know, but the thing is, right? So we're going to get. This is not like a bunch of randoms that don't care about 64 and are just doing it because mom and dad want to get rid of them for the weekend, so they throw him in every single event so the kid's busy and he's not smoking dope with the other kids in the parking lot.
Yeah.
This is 133 people that are all here to play 64. This isn't 70% randoms that just kind of like when we get 314 at SmashCon, like it's a great number. I love it. But, you know, 150 to 200 of those people are not real 64 players. It's not a real. It's an inflated number because the event just has all these people just signing up because they can sign up and they don't really care. Half of them don't play. The people that play aren't going to ever come back.
Because in
if
Waterfall,
they come back,
they're
only coming back at
going to be
SmashCon.
playing all day. Trust
Yeah.
me. That's one thing we saw at Keystone is that you're going to be playing.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm really looking forward to seeing the Waterfall format at Let's Go. I normally don't see streams. I don't watch them often, but I give you my promise that I will tune in to Let's Go because I'm also looking.
It's going to be on this stream. It's going to be an SSP 64.
Well,
now this stream is going to be better.
Same channel.
Any
it's
stream
gonna be really good.
The quality is going to be. This is. I mean, you thought Genesis 4 looked good. Wait till you see this stream. We're going to have this like ESPN.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to watch it, hoping for some closer games with this whole format and everything. We'll see how it is, and after the tournament wraps up, we'll hopefully get you back on, and we'll kind of do a recap, see kind of how it goes, how it all went, and where we should go from there.
Oh, I want to just add another note. I want to add another note. So let's say so you can't make it to Let's Go.
Is it going to be a 5-minute note, or is it going to be a 1-minute note?
5-minute note, maybe 30-second note, right? So you can't make it a Let's Go, right? You can't, so you're not gonna be able to have the chance to see the WTF and play yourself. Smash and Splash 3, which is out in Wisconsin. It's a Midwest tournament. They are adding not only a $1,000 pop bonus, but they're also doing the Waterfall Tournament format. So that will have WTF there. So like for you can't make it a Let's Go. It's in Midwest. It's still somewhat of a trip for you because Midwest is a pretty big region. But
me being Midwest, I'm 30 minutes from being considered South. I am like right on the southern border.
Yeah, so I know it's not necessarily that much closer. But if anybody can't make Let's Go, can't make Let's Go
for it. Yeah, I encourage anybody to go to any
check it out.
tournament again.
So Waterfall, we'll have Waterfall in the Midwest in like 2 months. We'll have Waterfall on the East Coast. So if you wanna,
we'll have Waterfall in
New
York late in the year too.
And
Waterfall
for every tournament from here on out if it goes well. Let's Go and from all the other tournaments, right?
I would love it.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys having coming on here discussing this. I actually have personally learned a lot. I didn't know anything about the format, but now it's got me really excited. I'm gonna be tuning into the stream and all that kind of stuff. So, Shears, good luck with running it. It seems like for as efficient as it is, it's also got a lot of matches. So good luck with that. And Dark Gent, you gonna be there?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right.
I'll be there. I'll be there with my matches, I'll be there. But Zantetsu, thank you for doing this. Thanks for the opportunity. Hope we get a chance to talk again.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it.
WCF's only the start. I got more mad scientist ideas brewing, so don't worry.
Alrighty, yeah.
Yeah, Dark Gent's a good thinker. He always pulls up some good ideas.
We'll definitely keep in touch.
All right,
guys.
Yeah, I want to just hit on. Yeah, thanks for running this, doing the podcast, Dark Gentleman. Thanks for coming in and helping discuss things. You're usually a little crisper with getting the point across than I am. I'm usually like ranting and going on these long tangents. So
1-2 punch.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, guys.
I'm more of like a long night cuddler, you know. So all right, good night, guys.
All right, Shears, I'm cutting you off.